James Melendez. This wine glass is next. This is from Riedel. This is their Sommelier series. This is a Bordeaux Grand Cru wine glass. Stay tuned, and I'll tell you more about this wine glass and give a point score. Stay tuned. A lovely, lovely wine glass. This is hand blown. It's absolutely a large format. And so when it comes to the wine world, there's opinions on everything. So when it comes to comments, everybody has their opinion about wine stemware. I think this is a really fine, beautiful stemware glass that I love so much. So the silhouette is pretty large. I think it's fantastically well done. It's special. It is not just for beautiful sake. I think it has an actual functional capability to this wine glass that I very much appreciate and enjoy. So this is hand blown. It's a really nice construction. You can even just tell by tapping it just a little bit. It's a very delicate vessel, one where I use not as often as I'd like to, and that's simply because I want this around for as long as I can have it. I do accept that wine glasses will break, and it's something that was, a passion. If I'm passionate about wine, why not have a really wonderful wine glass and test it out? So I will get more stems. I definitely want to try out the other Grand Cru series of the Sommelier, such as the Burgundy glass is really my next acquisition piece, as my friend Robert likes to say. So this to me is evocative and beautiful. And I thought, you know what, I'm not testing this on its own merits. So I'm also testing this with another wine glass. This is, it looks very similar, right? You can push back a little bit and see that this is probably very close to this wine glass. I'll tell you that this is a Schott Zwiesel glass. It is, I guess it's Bordeaux glass. I'm not really sure. When I purchased this, it was from a wine merchant, and so their specialty was not wine glassware, but they did have this. It was $12. This is a suggested retail of $125. I do see this on a sell price point of about $100 occasionally. And so there's a big difference in, even quality. So this sounds very different. It is the Trite material, which is non-leaded glass, and this is a leaded glass, but it is really, very different sound altogether. It's not just about sound, it's also about appearance. So I'm going to share a picture right here in terms of the foot. So what absolutely drives me crazy is when a foot is not, it's too diminutive to the wine glass itself. I think to me there's a potential of knockover. It just doesn't look nice on a presentation. And even when I just move that slightly, this wine glass moves a lot. This one will not move, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want it to spill, not just for breaking the wine glass, but spilling on a table, spilling on another person. And so there is that quality issue with the Schott Zwiesel. I'm not against Schott. I've given some really positive accolades to their Pure collection, which I think is a really nice collection, and also the material as well. So that's one thing about this wine glass, and it's something that I think is, for $12, yeah, it's a $12 wine glass in some ways. It's one that I might bring out more often than this wine glass here, but it's also going to be different in terms of how they characterize. Same wine. This is a Cabernet Sauvignon, and same producer, same year, same bottle. What I did is I tried this out, and I wanted to smell and taste these wines and how they express. I tried a third-party neutral brand that I didn't know what the wine glass was, and tested that out as well. What I found interesting about this particular Grand Cru glass was the expression was I was able to swirl around and get a fresher, more fruit-oriented characteristic, as this here seemed to be a little more, I would say even mineral to peppery characteristic. And I try to pour the same exact amount, or probably close to it. I eyeballed it, so it's not a scientific measure. But ultimately, this was expressing in terms of the palate. So think about this. Most of your information in terms of the taste experience is informed by the scent characterization. How are you smelling the wine? How are you perceiving the wine? It's how the wine will taste. And it actually is quite accurate. This is a little more herbaceous, fruit forward. This is a little more peppery and mineral characteristic. It didn't really have a fruit characterization. This did have some mineral, by the way. So when I tested this out in terms of just the scent and the palate experience, this seemed to be a much fuller experience. This seemed to be a much more focused experience. What I got from this particular wine glass here was a lot more fruit characteristic, mineral, as well as herbaceous notes, which I would expect on a Cabernet Sauvignon. This I got a lot more centering on pepper, mineral, and minus fruit characterization, which I found to be very interesting. If I didn't know any different, I would suspect these are two different wines. And so there's one characteristic note here from this particular producer. So there are things about this wine glass, and I haven't reviewed this because I don't even know the name of the silhouette. And I'm not sure if it's even made any longer, but I definitely wanted to point out this in terms of how this performs. And just because they look similar doesn't mean that they're similar wine glass. I'll put another picture right here, how big the bowl opening is here on each of these. And this actually fits slightly inside this wine glass here. And so when I looked at that, I thought, well, maybe that doesn't really gonna matter at all. And I think it does. I think this really is the spot on experience that I want from a wine glass. I want the mastery and full experience of all the notes on this wine glass. So exceptionally well done. And construction's beautiful. I think the foot is absolutely gorgeous, elegant, tapering nicely, and not diminutive, which drives me crazy in a wine glass. This is really handsome on a table with other Grand Cru Sommelier glasses. And I think there are some criticisms, obviously the expense, but I never give a criticism for something that's handmade because I think there's very little of it. It's hard to make, it's expensive. So I never give a hard time on something that's handmade. I really appreciate that. I'm really delighted, and it's a exhilarating experience. So if this is a handmade wine, why not a handmade wine glass? Yes, I get it. Not everybody can afford it, and I still have it, and I wash it ever so gently and ever so carefully. It has actually survived at least for a decade, which I'm really surprised my other fine glassware does not last a decade. So I'm very careful, I'm very conscious. I don't use it that often because I do want it around for a lot longer if I can. So the construction, design, every element for the bowl opening, the actual silhouette, the height of the silhouette I think is important. So I think it's gonna really characterize in terms of folding in oxygen much more easily and rapidly. It's also, the foot is absolutely elegant and beautiful. Material is amazing, hand constructed. You can't go wrong with a wine glass like this. And something that I very much look up to. Now, if this were to break today, tomorrow, I'm buying another one. And that's because I believe in the series, and I believe in having, for me, it's very, very important to have a handmade, hand-blown glass to serve my wines in. And, hopefully to have more in the future. That's the goal, that's the intent. Because ultimately, I don't want to just share it for myself. I want my guests to enjoy the experience of this as well, and to enjoy on a very special occasion, of course. Now, this is a 98-point wine glass out of 100 points. It's really one of the highest numbers I've given, actually, for any glassware. This 98 point is not based on the reputation of the house. It's based on the wine glass performance and the excellence of that performance of this wine glass. And yes, I do have other wine glasses to review. So there's other wine glassware to try out and test. It could be a 98 point, 99 point, or even less than that. So you never know what that's going to be like, but I need to experience that and to share that with you. Put your comments and questions down below. I absolutely adore this, and again, 98 points. You can find me on a variety of social medias. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and WordPress. And also my podcasts are on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. More information on the producer will be listed down below, and the like button's there, so please hit that button, and also the subscribe button, so please hit that button to see the latest videos that I am producing. So I will see you in another video. Thank you for stopping by today. I really appreciate it, and stay tuned for more. Santé.